has one of the most amateur writing styles ever. Do you know the word subtlety? Or perhaps even the phrase, show don't tell? In order for all of you watching to understand how flawed Sonic's philosophy is here, this is the most Whisper has done in basically this entire comics run. I told you, IDW, it's all about the implication. Apparently murder isn't even enough to deal with somebody. So I have to wonder, just what is the line for these guys? How would Sonic deal with a villain group straight up?
Eggman Empire. Authorization approved. Access granted.
What is happening, Hermits and Chads? My name is KotyTang. Welcome back to the IDW series. We're picking up right where we left off, but word of warning, I had a cold the entire time I was recording this video, so my voice is a little bit scuffed, so you'll have to bear with my inability to use my M's and my N's. Also, given the subject matter of issue 44, we are going to be slightly dipping into some darker topics. One that's not really a joke, and the other that I'm going to present as a joke. Kinda. Before we start, I have to let you know, this is my first time experiencing the IDW series. So please don't post any spoilers beyond the issues presented in this video. Thank ya. Love ya. Mwah. Issue 43. Welcome to issue 43. Sonic and Tails defeat the Deadly Six with Tails' device, and then Tango tells him that Bella's been kidnapped. That's it. That's the recap.
Don't break too easily.
I'm trying. Quite the party here.
Let's keep running. Stay focused. We'll make them take notice. Practical.
Right.
You're dead. I don't think so.
I suppose we're gonna have to fight.
Show me what you've got.
Another pointless conflict is about to begin.
Well, that takes care of that.
Gonna skin you alive! No.
Oh no! Why you?
I'm gonna
Never give up. Come on.
hedgehog. Maybe it's too early to kill you.
Time for a crash test. Sonic. I'm on it.
It is only through the pain of this beating that I feel anything.
Oh, man.
Victory!
That'll bruise.
Can we get much higher?
Alright, my favorite part about the entire Zeti Hunt is that Sonic got absolutely f***ed up. Finally someone beat the shit out of that little asshole. Bro has been deserving of this ass whooping since day one. I don't know about you guys, but I loved seeing IDW Sonic get obliterated. Now, canonically, I don't think that Sonic would ever get beaten this badly by Zavok, but fuck yeah, bro. I support it. It's been a long time coming for him. Unfortunately, as we'll see in the next issue, he's perfectly fine. You know, I kind of remember Tails saying that these Zeti things were harmless. He didn't mention that it shocks the hell out of him. Can I just point out that this is the most Whisper has done in basically this entire comics run? Isn't it crazy how every single new character has gotten more screen time than her at this point? Tangle, Rough and Tumble, Jewel, Dr. Starline, Mimic, and even Belle! You know, the character we just met 8 issues ago? When we first met Whisper, it was with Silver all the way back in issue 8, and she has rarely ever been on screen. What is going on with her character? Does IDW just not have any clue what to do with her? So much so to the point that they just purposely ignore putting her into any of these scenarios we've been through so far? How is Whisper always getting shafted in every single story? It's issue 43 and she still hasn't done anything significant for the story. The least you could say about all the others is that they've been present. Speaking of these characters, holy shit, bro, Zavok could have killed Tangle too! Well, actually, I wonder if Tangle should be able to stretch her tail enough to prevent somebody from slamming her into a wall like Zavok did. Couldn't she just allow her tail to extend every time Zavok pulls it? Or is it like a seatbelt, where if you jerk her tail too fast, it locks up? Very odd. Issue 44. Sonic and Tails are able to send the Deadly Six on their way back to the Lost Hex, but not before Zavok gives Sonic a warning. A warning that Sonic basically outright dismisses, because he doesn't want to sacrifice his philosophy. No way, bro. Ian Flynn, do you know the word subtlety? Or perhaps even the phrase, show don't tell? You don't seem to incorporate those things into your writing, ever. Now that the Deadly Six are gone, the team continues their search for Belle. The Chaotix apparently go dark, prompting Sonic to perform a search for Belle on his own. Meanwhile, we jump over to Belle, waking up in a lair with Starline, and he's poking into her brain? Well. It appears that Belle the Tinkerer is getting tinkered. Starline begins explaining to Belle how intricate and special her design is, before ultimately pushing the Eggman button while discussing who made her, which causes Belle to shout at Dr. Starline. However, Dr. Starline isn't done. He explains to her how exactly he managed to bring Mr. Tinker back to Dr. Eggman, from kidnapping him to torturing him, until he finally popped back into the Mad Doctor. Thanks to Belle's explosive emotions, Starline's machine that has been attached to her for this whole time has gained an overload of emotional data. Realistically coded emotional data that he plans to use for his own creations. He urges Belle to continue fighting for her feelings to be seen and heard, as she remembers every moment she had with Mr. Tinker up until and after his abrupt disappearance, including her exile from Windmill Village. Just look at Starline's satisfaction with all of the emotions he's able to process and repurpose. What type of sick, twisted undertones are going on in this scene? Suddenly, Belle is let loose from her restraints by none other than Espio, but Belle immediately freaks out thinking it's a ghost, ruining the element of surprise for the Chaotix. So Vector and Charmy bust in and stop this sick, twisted party that Starline has been putting on. Starline, who has gained all the data he needed and already uploaded it into his own cloud server, smashes the evidence on the computer nearby and uses his tricore to safely whisk himself away. With Starline gone, Belle is finally able to process what just happened to her, leaving the puppet broken and destroyed emotionally. Meanwhile, the Deadly Six arrive at the Lost Hex and once again, promise revenge upon the denizens of planet Earth. Hopefully, we won't be seeing them again anytime soon, though. Nah, no, absolutely not. I can't say anything else about this comic until I tackle this part right here. This cannot be Sonic's character. Underneath it all, okay, sure, maybe. Why not? But how direct he is about this philosophy? No. What I will grant is that obviously Sonic isn't gonna just slice Zavok's head off here. Zavok is defeated and he's going home. I mean, personally, I would execute him, but that's just me, right? He did just run through a bunch of towns, pillaging, destroying, doing whatever he wanted to him. What Sonic was given is a warning. and the warning allows him to really think about what he's been through so far. That's not what the issue is. It's Sonic's response that's the problem. So let's analyze the actual dilemma here. Ian cannot kill Zavok. He is absolutely not allowed to die in the IDW comics. The Deadly Six can only be used and then defeated. So the way Ian remedies that is to have Sonic say that he's not going to sacrifice his principles out of fear. If Zavok returns, he'll just defeat him again. Now, of course, Sonic can't change this philosophy that Ian is claiming is embedded into Sonic. So he can't actually grow and learn from these past experiences. So given all of those restrictions, what's the problem? Well, Ian has one of the most amateur writing styles ever. A writing style that should have been stomped into a deep grave the moment he stopped making fan fiction. Ian pretty much always explicitly tells you exactly how it is in his writing. He doesn't show you, nor does he use subtlety. I don't even know if he knows how to use subtlety. Since day one in the IDW comics, Ian has always been disgustingly direct with everything going on and how every single character feels in the exact moment about everything. And he won't just tell you how it feels with maybe a comment or something that's in character. He will literally describe the very details of how a character operates and act like it's a regular response in a conversation. We'll talk about this problem that Ian has when we go over the final review for the saga, but every single person that even remotely respects Ian needs to understand this. Ian writes incorrectly. And not just does he write incorrectly, he writes like he's still doing fan fiction. He doesn't write like he's a part of $1 million company. This scene with Sonic and Zavok should not have this bit of dialogue right here. This entire panel back here actually needs to be entirely removed and just maybe even have this shot of Sonic, and that's it. Have them walk onto the ship. That's the only thing Sonic should have responded with. This face. That tells the audience a much larger story. Sonic is considering the idea. He's actually thinking about it. Sonic still lets Zavok go and return again someday, but you give the readers subtlety, implication, and reflection. Ian directly showed us that Sonic was considering all he's done so far, but then he immediately gave you an answer. He should not have. Ian should have let both the audience and Sonic linger on the idea that Sonic may be wrong. That is how you fix this scene. Ian Flynn needs to stop telling people every single minute detail about all of these characters. There are multiple times where you need to just let a character and the story speak for itself. This scene actually has the potential to fix the implied trajectory of Sonic's character in IDW, but Ian didn't allow reflection. Even if this did not change Sonic's mind, he could have been given a proper reasoning past, I just feel like it's the right thing to do. It even gives Ian himself a chance to reflect and come to a proper, more satisfying conclusion that he could present later on. Maybe an even better fix would be for Sonic to simply not speak his philosophy. He has no reason to explain himself, especially not to villains. After Zavok asked all that, Sonic could just look Zavok square in the face and smile. That's all I'm gonna say about this until the full saga review. Hey buddy, that button over there, is there any reason that it says subscribe and not subscribe duh? This is the Eggman Empire that you're watching. This shit ain't free, alright? Be sure to leave a like and a comment below and subscribe to the channel for more Sonic the Hedgehog lore and story content. I'm currently covering the entire IDW series front to back, and we'll be doing that until this series dies out. Now back to the video. Since we're talking about Sonic's philosophy, Are we just going to ignore the fact that the Deadly Six just went on a massive killing rampage where they completely leveled multiple villages and went on a killing spree for over 1,000 people? No? We're, still just going to send them on their way? Everybody agrees with that. All of the restoration too? We're just gonna let them go back to the Lost Hex to one day try again. That's what all of the heroes collectively agreed to do. So they don't care about anybody. Hundreds of people just lost their entire families, or entire family trees just got stomped out yesterday. But Sonic said to let the Deadly Six go, so that's what they do. Okay! Apparently murder isn't even enough to deal with somebody. So I have to wonder, just what is the line for these guys? Now, excuse me for getting extremely dark here, but I think that this actually has to be asked in order for all of you watching to understand how flawed Sonic's philosophy is here, if even mass murder isn't too far for him. How would Sonic deal with a villain group straight up Amy? Yeah, think about it. They kidnap her and then just decide to, you know, maybe even a league of villains decide to do this. Would Sonic still just beat them up and let them go so that they can try doing something like that to somebody else again someday? I mean, maybe next time they come back, they want to try to do something to Tails or Cream. These guys are villains. The majority of villains and bad people in the world don't have morals that you want to be on the receding side of. I don't want to get into the lists of things that terrible people do in the world, but I think you kind of get the idea of where I'm going with this. Anything from little kids to keeping people locked in a dungeon, okay? Would Sonic just forgive all of them and let them try again whenever they act out? He sure forgave Zavok for leveling at least 4 towns and slaughtering everybody in them. What lesson is IDW exactly trying to teach to people by constantly hammering this messaging into the reader's mind? All bad people can be forgiven. All bad people get a second chance. It doesn't matter what you did in the past, it only matters what you're doing now. The philosophy of Sonic's, and by proxy, every single hero, is getting more and more problematic by the day. Well, lucky for Sonic, he hasn't had to deal with something one of his best friends have been through. Just a bunch of people Sonic barely knows are getting the worst of what IDW have to dish out. And as we learned in Zeti Hunt, him and the Restoration really don't care about individual people. So, after Sonic and Tails were brutally beaten by the Deadly Six, they just magically appear a few minutes later completely fine. They're healed and recovered. Did they, wait a few weeks to heal before sending the Deadly Six off? What would be the purpose of doing that? Belle is in danger! Y'all need to get on it! Sonic and Tails should look more like this, rather than like they're perfectly fine and just woke up from a nice long nap a few hours ago. Speaking of Tails, is anybody else tired of Tails being the ultra uber science man that can literally make God himself be revealed to the human eye if he truly wanted to? Tails has just made an autopilot rocket that sends the occupants directly to the Lost Hex, and the Zeti are completely defenseless against it. There's nothing they can do once they're inside of it. Tails has also made a cancel all attachment that will completely stop the Zeti from using any of their powers at all. And it will also conveniently deactivate once they get on the Lost Hex, where even the Zeti launcher will explode once they get out of it. Anytime Tails is on screen and doing something, at a moment's notice, it can become the most childhood playtime bullshit I have ever heard in my life. You know what I'm talking about. Imagine you're a kid and you're playing some kind of fantasy fight and you attack your friend with a toy sword and that motherfucker hits you with a I have my sword resistant armor on. Plus, any magic or ranged attacks you throw at me will be blocked and thrown back at you. And also, my armor can't break or be taken off me no matter what. Bro, That is Tails, but he really makes that shit. It's not a meme. Tails is absolutely, without a single doubt, more capable than every single character in this entire universe. The fact that he has so few combat gadgets is the biggest mystery to me and the greatest thing for Eggman. Tails would be more destructive than Eggman and be able to defeat Eggman's entire empire single-handedly with the that he can create. Since we're on the topic of Eggman and his empire, Dr. Starline acknowledged it. He just flat out said that Metal Sonic assisted in getting Mr. Tinker's memory back. IDW must have finally realized that they wrote Metal Sonic as the reason for Eggman's return. Of course, they won't flat out say that, but they know what they did. Oh, and since we're currently discussing some Neo Metal Saga lore, let's talk about a character who was totally there the whole time. Bell! I guess we're just glossing over the fact that Bell was 100% not just always there. Well, of course, according to this issue, she was. Wait, you didn't see her? In issue 5, she was right there. You didn't notice her even in issue 6? Well, she was right there. How did you never see her? What's that? She didn't even see Sonic and his friends? No, she was right there! How did you not see Belle? She watched that whole thing happen! Sonic and Shadow fought each other! She was there! When Mr. Tinker went to cower in that house, she was in that house! She was right there! You didn't see her? When Mr. Tinker showed Eggman land to Shadow, she's right there! Look, in the background! Belle! Okay, yeah. It's very, very evident that Belle was not thought about until much later on. No matter where you look for Belle, there is not a single scene with her in it. However, it's been revealed that she was created long before Sonic and the Chaotix even got there. And in this same issue, it even confirms that she never left Windmill Village. She's been there since her creation, helping out Mr. Tinker. Yet, there is not a single crumb of her ever existing. She helped make Mr. Tinker's little Eggman land. And yet, she's nowhere to be found at that point. She just magically appeared in this saga and was hand-fisted into the canon. It's a complete, utter disregard for any sort of continuity. They didn't even try to give her a reason that she wasn't there. They just looked you right in the eyes and said, "What do you mean? She was there the whole time. You didn't see her? You bitch, you can't gaslight me, IDW. Have you seen my videos? I tell you where you f***ed up. This is the exact type of shit that I call you out for." Since we're talking about things Dr. Eggman has created, I've always found it interesting that Eggman has always been capable of creating robots with varying levels of emotion. It's not really unique to Mr. Tinker. Orbot and Cubot are the perfect examples of this. However, Belle does have something special that only Mr. Tinker was capable of doing. Belle has a level of humanity inside of her that Dr. Starline seems to believe is missing from the others. Now, I'm pretty sure all of these robots do have varying degrees of emotions, but Belle experiences extreme emotions in a large variety. While Metal Sonic and Omega experience extreme anger, they don't really experience sorrow, I suppose. Even Gamma could experience sorrow. Gemerald doesn't seem to have that many emotions, and Orbot and Cubot only seem to be able to experience sarcasm and absolute buffoonery. So Belle having this wide range of access to any emotion a human would have definitely puts her as a cut above the rest. This is a very interesting angle that IDW is going down here. However, once again, I do still have to wonder, where does Belle go from here? What I will say is that the scene with Belle and Dr. Starline is IDW's very rare proper use of suspense and mystery. The darkness implied by what is essentially a physical and emotional torture and, no touching, we'll say. Yeah, the scene with Belle is pretty dark in its own right. Look, I can only imagine that where Starline's finger is in the drawing is not where his finger began as he rubbed it across Belle's body. I told you, IDW, it's all about the implication.
No, Santar, you're misunderstanding me, bro.
I think I am.
Yeah, you are. Because if the girl said no, then the answer obviously is no.
And you guys drew the panel this way.
But the thing is she's not gonna say no. She would never say no because of the implication.
I guess you could have a pretty good deflection and just say that, well, he's only pointing at her. He's not touching her.
Are you gonna hurt women? I'm not gonna hurt these women. Okay. Why would I ever hurt these women? I feel like you're not getting this at all.
I'm not getting it.
Or maybe he's just scratching her chin, right?
So they are in danger.
No one's in any danger. How can I make that any more clear to you? Okay, it's an implication of danger. You know what, just drop it.
Let's drop it.
The way that Dr. Starline talks about Belle's design, he's truly infatuated with her every inch. It makes me feel pretty uncomfortable to listen to him talk about her, and then watch as she's completely helpless, strapped down, and unable to resist as he touches all over her and fantasizes about her design. I have to say, it's an enjoyable issue for their interaction alone. It's creepy and unsettling. A side of Starline we've never seen, and surprisingly a scene that got approved by Sega. I wish Starline was actually this cool and calculating. I'm hoping that this continues. He does seem to be understanding that he can actually grow from Eggman. He truly can be better and is trying. Please keep this up, you fine-haired platypus. What he did to Belle was genuinely screwed up, and I love him for it. Out of these 4 issues, issue 44 is my favorite. Starline absolutely steals the show here, overshadowing all of the Deadly Six and every other member of the bad guys' crew. Hats off to Starline. Sorry, Belle. I didn't mean to praise your defiler so much. He was all up inside your guts. Busting all Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, join my Discord, okay, bye?